First two experts we spoke to, Professor Kumar, arguing that there is no need for financial incentives for employment. You look at the big picture, you try and spur growth, you try and spur investment, and that by itself will lead to job creation. You don't throw incentives and SOPs just at job numbers. In any case, in countries like the United States, we've seen those numbers potentially being fudged, and in India, Jugaad could really kick into high gear and there could be all kinds of problems. Is that a perspective that you accept, or do you think that this is old world thinking, the new political reality warrants that Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Prime Minister Modi both deal with the job challenge more aggressively and more directly?
So, the job challenge has to be understood in its totality. And I think the two speakers earlier have mentioned that. But once you say totality, we have to see how to disaggregate it. Because we have the unorganized sector employing 94% of the workforce and the organized sector employing 6%. Now, government by itself cannot create that many jobs because out of 600 million labor force, we have only 18 million in the government jobs, public sector jobs. So you can increase it to maybe by 2 million, 3 million, but that's not going to solve the problem. What we have is a problem where there's not only unemployment, there's massive underemployment. Because our definition of employment is 1 hour of work per week and we call them employed. That's totally inadequate. Then we have disguised unemployment in agriculture and in other services sector. And then we have those people who have completely stopped looking for work, and those numbers are very large. So how do we improve the situation? We have to have a disaggregated view where we promote the unorganized sector. We have actually been denting the unorganized sector through demonetization, GST, which is faulty, NBFC crisis, and then the lockdown and the pandemic. So this sector has been in the decline, and that's why you have this vast problem of unemployment, because 94% people are employed there, and if that sector declines, then there'll be a massive unemployment problem. The organized sector, which only employs 6%, is not going to solve the problem. So we have to reprioritize. Our priority has been to invest in the organized sector, but we know that because of mechanization and automation, that's not going to create many jobs. So we have to reprioritize, like for instance, in the budget, in the interim budget, we plan for 11.11 lakh crores of capital investment. Bulk of that is going into capital-intensive infrastructure like railway freight corridor and highways and things like that, power and so on. Whereas we've reduced, expenditure on rural employment guarantee scheme, in rural development, in education and health. Education and health can employ a lot of people, but in real terms, those expenditures have come down rather than going up.
Okay, so that you've been speaking along with your team to a lot of officials involved in the budget making exercise. How are they looking at the job challenge? Because the opposition says it's a crisis, the government citing Employee Provident Fund data to show how new people are logging in and actually there is no crisis. So A, there's a debate on whether there is a crisis and the extent of the crisis. B, your understanding of the thinking within government on how to deal with it.
These conversations lead us to one major data point. If you take all the centrally sponsored schemes, including one whose end date was 31st March 2024, there are almost 10 different heads under which the government of India, the center, directly and indirectly aims to boost employment. There's an era pre-COVID and post-COVID, and post-COVID, if we recall, the EPFO subvention where new recruits were to be, the government was paying their provident fund, which has led to an increase in EPFO numbers that keep getting frequently cited. But all of this pales in comparison given the sheer number of people who seek jobs. There was criticism of that PF scheme because it limited employees earning to 15,000 rupees, which, as we know in today's days and age, is a very, very low salary. The key point made in the economic survey today is it says that nearly 7.85 million, 78.5 lakh new non-farm sector jobs need to be created. And I'm reminded of what a Citibank report had said, that growth of 7% may not yield the kind of employment that we need. So it's perhaps time, Rahul, that many of these schemes, which also, by the way, include the Mudra Yojana, very famous conversations around that, they are put together and a composite number where the center supports direct employment creation and indirect. And of course, there's a labor ministry demand that we are told in the run-up to this budget, where they have specifically coined a term said to be around employment-linked incentive scheme to be brought in. Will that happen? We don't know. But let me tell you that for 10 years now, the government of India has intervened. Has it been effective? That's still a debate that we can continue to have.
Okay.